Welcome back to another episode of The Amazing City. I believe Jack just said before it was episode 37. So, episode 37.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, what more do we say? I feel like the intro is kind of redundant because every time it's the same thing, that things are going well. But really, things are going well. Every time we say this team has a good measuring stick, a real tough test with Philly, Atlanta, the Giants, and now the Dodgers, they're passing the test with flying colors, and they're really showing that this isn't just a team that's trying to stick around and having a good start to the season. This is a very serious threat in the National League. They lost the first two when really those are the games that you thought you would win with Tyler Walker and Chris Bassett, and then Trevor Williams, David Peterson come in, they get their starts. Those are the two games that you win. You split the series with the Dodgers in LA, felt like a playoff series. It was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially like you said, losing the first two, to be able to come back and win those two games, neither of them really favorable pitching matchups for you. You really have to feel good about that. And I think we need to talk for a second about just the contributions you're getting from David Peterson and Trevor Williams, who really are, looking at your depth chart, everyone healthy, they're like your seventh and eighth starters.
They're not in the rotation.
No, they're not. Peterson starts in Syracuse. Williams is, your long man. Like there was this.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear if Williams was even going to make the team out of camp.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where his role in the team was coming into the year, but he's proving to be giving more value than you ever really could have asked out of him. Especially now, he's not even in like the long relief, like the follower type thing like you'd have to like what Reed Foley was to Lucchesi last year.
Right.
He is proven he's giving you value as a major league starter, which I think if I told you in March that you will be getting Trevor Williams starts, I think he's in
winning games.
I think I told you I think he's like 6 starts into his year now.
Something like that, 5 or 6 starts, yeah.
It would not have, you wouldn't think things were pretty.
No, but I mean,
they have the best record in the National League.
What more can you say? These are guys that, like you said, we expect David Peterson to be in Syracuse right now, just trying to get some innings and stay fresh for maybe a spot start or maybe a bullpen spot. But now he's contributing every 5th day. And besides one hiccup against the Phillies, he's been outstanding. Trevor Williams, except for one hiccup against Colorado in Colorado, so that's kind of a wash. He's been outstanding. These are guys that are giving you very valuable innings, and not just valuable innings that are, keeping you around in games you're losing. They're winning you ball games. These are guys that are the reason why you're winning some ball games. Yeah, I think David Peterson was taken out in the 4th inning yesterday after the bomb foul ball by Mookie Betts. But guess what? He still kept it close enough where you could still win that game. Colin Holderman came in and did his job. Ottavino did his job. And guess what? You won that game. Granted, it was in part by Pete Alonso, but you still won the game in part because of what he did.
They need to just keep you in those games.
That's all you have to do.
If you have Trevor Williams giving you 5 innings of 2-run baseball against the Los Angeles Dodgers, you take that. 7 days a week, twice on Sundays.
Oh my God. It really is incredible. And it's not just those guys. It's the JD Davises. It's Eduardo Escobar. It's Tomas Nido. It's like I said before, Colin Holderman and Steven Nagosic, Adonis Medina coming in and getting a save against Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner, and Will Smith.
Did you see the Buck quote about that?
No.
He looked at Hefner after Medina blew the first pitch by Betts.
Yeah.
He said, this is going to be an ambush. And Hefner asked, from the Dodgers? He said, no, from our guys.
Oh, my God.
But I just put it out there. Like, even when the Mets are Metsing, like a stupid catcher's interference call on Turner, where there's like, they don't even really know what the rule is. I mean, I get it, but like, I don't think he was even had the intent of swinging at that pitch.
No.
But, the rule's rule. It's like the tuck rule in football. Like, it's a stupid rule.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. But even then, like, years past, Medina gets ice cold. He's sitting there waiting around for a review, comes back, Will Smith takes him yard.
Yeah.
Or Will Smith rips one down the line or shoots the gap, whatever. Mets teams have passed. It snowballs. We all know that.
Yeah.
But Adonis Medina held the damage right where it was. It was nuts.
I mean, we still had some old-fashioned Mets stuff like Eddie Alvarez getting the game-tying hit. You saw the stat that he has like 20 hits and 12 of them have come against the Mets?
He hits like 280 against the Mets. I think I saw.
And like 035 against everyone else, probably. It just doesn't make sense. So that's the old school Mets stuff that we see constantly. But then you come back and one of the guys that everyone harps on more, and especially myself, more than anyone else, and JD Davis, he ropes someone against Craig Kimbrell. Alonso scored. And then, of course, Adonis Medina, as we've said, gets his first career save against, I mean, as tough a 1-4 in all of baseball.
And it's not just a tough 1-4. You have two legitimate Met killers in there.
You have MVPs in there.
Like even beyond that, like Trey Turner, if he stayed with the Nationals for the duration of his career, was going to be a Chipper Jones level Met killer.
Right.
Freddie Freeman is already
Chipper
there.
Jones.
He's already there.
He's there already.
He's been there.
Yeah. And so Will Smith, in a short sample size,
he hurt them
very well against Mets too. And then he hit the home run off of Lugo to cut it to 1. It's just, dude, it's a good lineup. Like Chris Bassett said, it's the best
lineup.
It's the best hitters on the planet. They have Chris Taylor batting 9th in most days. Like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, and he just got a $60 million contract.
Yeah,
like it's nuts.
That's a guy that's batting what? Probably 2nd in any other lineup in baseball, probably.
If not leading off, hitting 3rd.
Right, he's in the top 4
in the Mets lineup. He's probably hitting 2nd.
He's probably hitting 2nd. You move down
Marte. Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's nuts.
And I really think that can put to bed the narrative that they can't beat good teams.
They're 13-9 against teams over 500. I don't know where that narrative came from.
If you're doing that 13-9, like 13-9 isn't like insane of a record, but you know the saying. You have to take care of business against the bottom tier teams, which they've done.
You got to beat the best to be the best.
Yeah. And then just if you, in the regular season, play 500 ball against the good teams and you're making the playoffs. You're making the playoffs.
I mean, I think we could argue their biggest competition, both in division and in the National League in general, Atlanta and the Dodgers.
Okay.
Because Atlanta is still the best team in the East until they prove otherwise. Because this would be like fucking 3 out of 5 years where they start slow.
But when is it until proven otherwise? Because now we're coming up on 60 games where they're a game over 500. And the Mets are, what is it, 20?
Something like that.
So when is until proven otherwise? Is it just who wins the division?
I think you have to play more than 4 games with them.
I mean, that's fair. But if we're, let's just say 100 games into the season and Atlanta's 15 games back, are we still saying until proven otherwise?
No,
okay.
No. But I think Atlanta's starting to get it together. We can't act like, I mean, we've played Colorado.
Sure.
We know those were tough games.
It's in Colorado. So.
And they're in Colorado.
Yeah.
And Arizona has quietly been a respectable team.
Sure.
I mean, they were 2 games over 500 like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
They were 500 until they started this series with Atlanta.
Yeah. And they ran into the Dodgers in Atlanta.
They've won 5 in a row. And you also have to remember, it's not like this is a team that can't just get it together.
Oh, no. Listen,
they won a title because they got their shit together.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying Atlanta's a bad team, but.
And I think in the end, looking at the rosters overall, on paper, Atlanta's still a better team than the Mets. That is still a deeper roster. That is still a deeper lineup where you have less guys where you're questioning, all right, well, if he keeps this up, like we all know Luis Guillorme is not a 300 hitter. If he keeps it up for the season, then you might start to think differently.
Right.
But Atlanta still is a deeper roster with just less question marks as a whole. Or less, if this guy keeps it up.
Right.
So I think until we get to a spot, like if come August 1st, if we're past the deadline and Atlanta's still meddling around 500 and the Mets are 20, 30 games over, well, then yeah, obviously.
Okay.
But I think the Mets have a tough schedule this month.
Yeah.
You still have to be wary of the Angels.
Yeah, regardless of them losing 11 in a row.
Obviously, you have to take the Padres seriously, 3rd best record in the National League.
For sure.
But even beyond that, you can't look at the Angels losing 11 in a row and be like, oh, okay, well, they're garbage. Because the Mets are going to, unless they lose 15, 17, 16, 18 in a row.
Right.
The Mets are going to get them, most likely right when they're coming out of a losing streak and maybe starting to put it back together. Not to mention a Syndergaard revenge game.
Yeah, that's on Sunday Night Baseball.
Right. So that's going to be a huge one as it is. So you can't take that lightly. And then you go home to Milwaukee, the class of the National League Central for a handful of years now, and a team that always
Still
plays
is.
you, and the team that always plays you tough at home.
Yeah.
Like they played the Mets tough at home last year. If it was not for Jose Peraza taking Josh Hader deep. So and then you have the Astros. I mean, I think the only team really left in the schedule this month, or at least for the next stretch, where you feel comfortable is the wheels are falling off in Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, any hope that was really there. Jorge Soler has been not good. Avisail Garcia
has 5 extra base hits on the entire year.
He's an OPS under 600.
Yeah.
I mean,
Brian Anderson can't stay healthy.
It's looking like the Marlins of old, where the pitching is doing its end. It is playoff caliber pitching, and it is AAA caliber offense.
It's their pitching. It's Jazz Chisholm, and that's it.
Jesus Cabrera.
Yeah, I mean,
and even then.
But you're talking about the schedule, Miami, and I'm looking at the Braves schedule for June. I mean, you want to talk about polar opposites. So while the Mets are going through this gauntlet with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Angels, the Brewers. So the Braves have already finished their series with Arizona and Colorado. And then they go Oakland, Pittsburgh, Washington, the Cubs, and then they end off with the Giants and Dodgers. So that's like almost 4 straight weeks of nothing but very, very winnable games for Atlanta. That's why, again, getting that 10.5 game lead going into June was vital. It was vital because over this 22 game stretch, you're hoping for 500.
To be fair, the Pirates are above 500 against everyone but the Brewers.
That's insane to me. I saw that stat. They're like, 23-21 against everyone else, but 0-7 against Milwaukee.
They're 0-7 against Milwaukee, 4 games under in general. We were talking about this before we came on. That they got some dudes in that bullpen.
Yeah, man. How about Anthony Banda, former Met legend, Anthony Banda as like their 8th inning guy?
David Bednar.
Talk about a trade chip right there, man.
Cast off from San Diego. He's got like a 1.12 ERA in 22 innings. Just an absolute dude.
Yeah. I mean, he saw that his brother's getting all the hype. So he's like, you know what? I'm pretty good too.
It's nuts. That's a sneaky. That's a team that'll sneak up on you.
Yeah.
That's a team where I don't think there's many trap games in baseball as much as there are in football.
I would agree.
But that's a trap series.
Yeah.
Like Atlanta plays them after Oakland?
I believe so, yeah. I turned off their schedule, but yeah, I think that's correct.
I mean, the Mets have the Padres and the Angels coming up, and if Atlanta gets it down to like 6.5, and you're going into Pittsburgh or Pittsburgh comes in and you're like, okay, we're feeling good, yada, yada, yada. It's the Pirates. Who cares?
Mm.
The Pirates can beat the shit out of someone.
Yeah.
They still got some bats in that lineup too.
I've always liked that lineup. It's kind of sneaky.
It's a lineup. The Pirates to me feel very like 2014 Mets. Because I think that was the year the Mets went like 4-15 against Washington.
Something like that.
Something like they were above 500 against everyone but the Nationals.
Look, the Pirates they're a team.
It wasn't a great lineup, but you're like, you see how they can be good soon.
You see where they're going. Like right now, the Pirates are kind of two ways. Either they're going to lay down and you could beat them, or they're death by 1,000 paper cuts. With Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Ben Gamble doing some work.
Chavis?
Michael Chavis is having a resurgent season. Daniel Vogelbach, Rodolfo Castro coming in every now and then.
Michael Chavis is hitting 280 with an 800 OPS.
He's been solid, man. He's pulled off a little bit.
Who's the rookie? Sawinski?
Jake Sawinski, and how can we forget
he had a
apparent Dodger killer Tucupita Marcano, who does nothing but hit tanks against the Dodgers. He's 125 pounds soaking wet, but he hits 415 dead center against Julio Urias and Walker Buehler. Like what?
Like I'm just looking at some of these numbers. Like
they're a bunch of cast-offs.
Yeah, I mean, even like Tsutsugo last year was strong for them down the stretch. I haven't seen much about him this year.
I think he got hurt.
Tsutsugo?
I think he's hurt. I could be wrong.
Oh, maybe. Or he has a 538 OPS.
Well, that too.
But even like their pitching isn't awful.
No.
Jose Quintana's been surprisingly solid.
Yeah. Brubaker's decent.
Jose Quintana in 10 games is 1-2 with a 2.32 ERA.
That's pretty solid.
Drew Baker's got like a 4.5 ERA.
Yeah,
But like
and they have
Thompson.
Zach Thompson, who was starting the bullpen, but ever since he moved to the rotation, has like a sub 2.5 ERA.
And Mitch Keller's Mitch Keller's going to figure it out.
I think he's a good bullpen role.
I think his stuff is too good to not figure it out.
He just has no idea where the strike zone is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But insert Jeremy Hefner.
And he's got like 5 years of control.
Listen, Mitch Keller
trade him in the offseason. The Mets don't need starting pitching, man. I said it last time.
But they need arms. They need bullpen arms.
Well, I think it's a good segue. You're going to talk about this anyway.
Yeah.
Just like the fact that you do need another bullpen arm.
Yeah.
Obviously. But if the Mets brass and powers that be, and Edwin Diaz are comfortable and maybe like the idea of you're in an 8th inning and you got Acuna, Olsen, and Albies coming up, use them in the 8th. The Mets can I would be ecstatic if they took like a very Guardians then Indians approach that they took with Cody Allen and Andrew Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Tito Francona did not care if there was a 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning. In the biggest spot, you need your best reliever.
Yeah.
But they had guys. So let's say you use Miller in the 6th, use Cody Allen in the 8th, who's pitching the 9th. They had enough guys behind them, like a Brian Shaw, who were able to get it done. I think the Mets can absolutely go down that route.
Yeah, and I think
but here's the thing, though, is who do you trust behind Edwin Diaz to get that done?
Right now, you can still trust Lugo.
I think
yesterday was whatever.
To a lesser extent. But I think the days he's on.
Yeah.
But the days
there are
days
off, you can trust Ottavino. There are days you cannot trust Ottavino.
I think you can trust Holderman. I think we're getting there. No. But like if you use Diaz in the 7th because you got 2 on, 1 out with a 1-run lead against Atlanta in September.
Yeah.
You got to use Diaz to get the last out of the 7th. You know, it's like the same argument of, okay, maybe your best chance to score is in the 6th.
Right.
You want to use your best pinch hitter now, or are you saving him for the late game?
Right.
It's the same argument. Same argument.
Yeah.
I think if you can go out and get a Bednar, a Gregory Soto, maybe like a Scott Barlow, to a lesser extent, a Corey Knebel. I just throw Knebel in there because he's a guy that wouldn't be trying to figure out like.
Right.
He's on an expiring contract. He won't cost much.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to figure out the nerves of a 9th inning or an 8th inning postseason push. Do as a closer for the Dodgers and the Brewers.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out. He'll know what to do. And I think he still has the stuff to work.
Yeah.
So I think if they decide they can go down that route of best pitcher in the biggest spot, I think your biggest thing at the deadline then is a closer level reliever.
I think you're borderline at that point anyway. Because again, we've talked about they need a bat, but they don't need like a star powered bat. They might need a starter, but they don't need like a Frankie Montas kind of guy.
I think they need like a 4th outfielder, a strong 4th outfielder.
Absolutely. Their biggest need in terms of star power type ability is in the bullpen, 100%. Especially with Trevor May being down, we still have no idea when he's coming back. He's starting to update everyone a little bit more on Twitter about how he's updating and how he says his arm feels great, but he's still a long ways away. We don't even know when he's coming back. So with that, plus the uncertainty of as great as Colin Holderman has been, we don't know if he can get high leverage outs. As great as Nogosek has been, we don't know if he can get those high leverage outs. Adonis Medina got the outs yesterday, but how long can that be sustained? I think right now you have 3 guys where you can really trust in big time situations. That's Edwin Diaz. I still think you trust Seth Lugo and 9 times out of 10 times. And then there's Drew Smith. Is that enough? Is that enough to win a title?
I think you can trust Ottavino.
Right, but if you have 2 guys, they're both fully rested, haven't pitched in 3 days, 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs, 7th or 8th inning, are you going to Drew Smith or are you going to Ottavino?
Fair, yeah.
That's my point.
Fair. No,
Ottavino's is underneath that.
I think you definitely still. I think you absolutely need like maybe not a Diaz level.
Yeah,
but you need like
the next tier. I think
you need this year's Addison Reed.
Yeah,
you need a high leverage setup guy. Whether that is like a Bednar, Barlow, Soto, whoever. Maybe you go and Detroit's falling off the rails. Go snag Diekman.
He's in
maybe
Boston.
or not Chafin.
Chafin. Yeah.
Even if Boston falls off the rails, go snag Diekman.
Yeah.
Like there are definitely those guys that are out there and available.
Yeah.
But I think it's a question of, how much do you trust the guys you have? I think you have the lefties to get it done. I think your two lefties are serviceable.
Mm-hmm.
They've proven they can get the lefties out. Sometimes struggle with the guys in between.
Joel's proven to get righties out pretty well.
Right. That was more so for Shreve.
Yeah. Shreve, not so much, but I can trust Joel to get out of righty.
No, Joely, I think, has effectively been everything you really could have asked him to be.
Yeah.
I think, especially given how late in the year he came in, Joely has definitely been what you were hoping he would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting. I mean, just looking at it right now, reasonable targets. I mean, Tyler Kinley, but he's got a lot of control, so it might be a lot. Like I said, Bednar. I mean, if Philly really falls off the rails, they've looked better lately, but that might just be catching Anaheim at the wrong time. And I feel like most teams get a little bit of bump after they fire a manager.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like a Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Going into that series, LA lost 8 in a row, and Mike Trout is on the longest hit list streak of his entire career. You're just not going to catch the Yankees at a better time.
No, I agree. I completely agree.
Taylor Ward went on the IL. Rendon's still hurt. So,
yeah, I mean, there's guys out there: Scott Efris, Joe Mantiply, David Robertson is kind of.
The Cubs got some nice pieces in that bullpen too.
Yeah, I mean, Efris, Robertson,
Wick is solid.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's Keegan Thompson's having a good year for them.
Yeah,
got I think a 1.38 something like that. He might be hurt though. He's been good. I mean, even down in Arizona, like a Kyle Nelson. There's definitely enough guys that are available that I think you can absolutely. They shouldn't have much of an issue shoring up that bullpen.
No, I don't think so.
And you might even get to a spot where, McGill comes back. Try and work Williams. Try and work Trevor Williams maybe into like a solid mid-relief role.
I mean, I think he was doing that before he got put into the bullpen.
I think Trevor Williams could very easily be like kind of what Carlos Torres was to those 2015 Mets.
But better.
Like legitimate inning eater out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
Because Torres was very valuable to that team.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Torres and Sean Gilmartin were probably the most underrated Mets on that team. Because I think we've called Curtis Granderson underrated enough to the point where he is now properly rated.
Yeah.
But Carlos Torres was kind of like an unsung hero for that team.
Trevor Williams with the Mets very quietly in his Mets tenure. It's a 3.32 ERA.
No, I mean, I think he had like a 1 something with them last year.
Last year, he had a 3.06.
3.06.
Yeah. So in 32 and a thirds inning last year, 3.06, and 32 and 2/3 innings this year, 3.58. He's been very solid.
Absolutely.
I mean, listen, that's more than solid. And again, if you're going into LA with that offense, with that lineup, and you're going 5 innings, 2 runs, and the only 2 runs come on a home run in the first inning to Trey Turner, you did your job.
No, I mean, he's done more than his job. In all reality, I think he's done more than you ever could ask out of him.
Yeah.
And speaking of doing more than you could ever ask, Pete Alonso. I mean, you can make a case right now that this is a top tier 1 through 4. With Marte clearly out of his slump.
Yeah.
Nimmo, you could tell the wrist is feeling a little bit better, had a better last 2 games.
It sucks he got hit on the hand the other day, though, yesterday.
Yeah. But he still had a 2-hit game yesterday, I thought.
I missed most of the game, so I couldn't tell you. I was driving, dude. I was driving for 2 hours.
Oh, it's true. You're in market. Oh, just put it on the radio.
Yeah.
Okay, Nimmo was 0 for 4 yesterday, but had 2 hits the day before, I believe.
Take it. I kind of doubt he'll play in the first game against San Diego just because his hand's already been taped up. Then he got hit in the hand yesterday. I'd be stunned if he's in the lineup tonight, but hey, I've been wrong before, so who knows?
But no, I mean, I think
Yeah.
your 1 through 5 is giving you about all the production you could ask. Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil.
Yeah, there's not much more you can ask for out of those guys.
They were.
And
I was watching a video. They were talking about it on MLB Network
mhm,
before the Dodgers series. The Mets are putting the ball in play more than anyone else in baseball.
yeah,
But I
again,
think,
back to your point, very 2015 Royals esque.
yeah, they're putting. I think they have a lot more power. The Mets are probably top 10 in the league in home runs, purely from Alonso having like 17 alone. But they're putting the ball in play. They have the speed. They're a pretty solid base running team, I feel like, which is a stark change from last year.
God, they've been so bad on the bases.
Oh wow, I was wrong. The Mets are 17th in the league in homers, but they still have the highest average in baseball, the highest OBP, the 8th highest slugging, 3rd highest OPS, 7th best ERA, 3rd most strikeouts. I mean, this is a very, very, very solid team. I mean, they're bottom 10. I mean, they're top 10 in the league in errors in terms of, well, I guess bottom 10 in the league in errors.
Right.
Whatever way makes it work in your brain.
Yeah.
It's a solid all-around team where nothing is flashy. Nothing stands out when you're like, holy shit, look at this.
Yeah. And
I mean, Mark Canha's like a 90th percentile outs above average in left field. I don't think he's made like a single play this year where I'm like, oh my God.
No, he just makes plays, dude. It's as simple as that.
I mean, Lindor is still like an above average defender, but he hasn't had a play this year where you're like, holy, like maybe
he had like one of those Lindor plays. Yeah,
he had like 1 or 2, but it felt like by last year at the end of the year he was making 1 every week.
Yeah, he had a couple chances in St. Louis where he made 2 diving stops, but just couldn't get the out at first because he's going against Tyler O'Neill and I think it was Harrison Bader. So it's like, okay, good luck.
Yeah.
But yeah, and for the they don't hit the ball hard crowd.
They're starting to hit the ball hard.
They're hitting the ball hard again.
No,
they're hitting the ball real hard.
I think I said it during one of their games with the Nationals. You knew something was going to change.
Yeah.
It was either they're not going to start hitting the ball hard and the offense is going to fall off, or they're going to start hitting the ball hard and the offense will keep up.
Yeah, and the latter's starting to prove true.
Absolutely.
Especially once they get to the bullpens. I'm not sure what they do against starters, but I feel like it feels like this team, once they get to an opposition's bullpen, that's when they strike. They kind of lay around for the first 3 to 4 innings with the starter out there. Then once the starter comes out, they're off to the races.
Trying to see if I can find a way to pull it up.
I'm sure there's a way to do like on like Baseball Reference. But
no, it feels that way. Absolutely.
Again, going back to production here. Ever since we've deemed Escobar as Paul, this man has been on a freaking mission. He's raised his batting average. He's raised his OPS. He's slugging the ball more. He's hitting more homers. I think he's hitting like 270 since we've named him Paul. That day, he had a 4-hit game in San Francisco. Paul, baby. He's making defensive plays. He's getting clutch hits. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good.
No, I just it's weird to feel this oddly confident about them. I mean, San Diego is always a weird series for them. I'm not gonna say they play them well. I'm not gonna say they play them bad. It's just always a weird one.
Yeah.
And you feel good going into it. I mean, even the pitching matchups. Like Snell has struggled. Darvish has been a little hit or miss. And I think they're missing Mackenzie Gore.
Oh, thank God.
They get someone. They miss Gore and they miss Musgrove.
Oh, thank Jesus.
But they're going with 6 men right now. They get Manaea on Wednesday. But even then, Manaea's got like a 3.8 ERA. And he's matched up with Bassett. So, I mean, you feel good going into these matchups. And Tyler McGill might be back for LA.
All right, so I was wrong. Pulling up the splits here, they're pretty dead even against a starter. 268, 411 slug, 747 OPS. Against a reliever, 259, 404 slug, 738 OPS. So they're actually, I mean, it's pretty even, but they're actually slightly get better against starters. What they
I
really
would
feast on
wonder,
is the second time they face a reliever. If they face a reliever for a second time, their OPS goes over 1,000.
like a second inning.
No, I think if it's like they're facing a long guy or someone that can go multiple innings, like the second time they face like Bruce Gratterall in that game,
Oh, yeah.
just ropes.
No, yeah, and it feels like they're getting the starters quicker than they usually have.
Yeah.
But I mean, part of that is last year's team just didn't draw at bats.
No.
But all right, so we got San Diego and the Angels.
Typically Snell doesn't scare me, but
Snell, Darvish, Manaea.
Recently the Mets have kind of gone back into that phase of the last couple of years where anytime they face a lefty starter, it's like they're going against prime Randy Johnson and they just can't touch him.
Well, the Anderson one made sense to me because he's such a different pitcher than he was previous years.
Sure.
That it's got to be almost impossible to have a legitimate scouting report on him aside from, okay, here's 50 innings of work. Do with this what you will.
Yeah.
Like he's such a different pitcher than he was in Colorado, and even last year with the Giants. So I mean that one made sense, and we all know everyone in their mother they've never hit Urias.
No.
I mean, he made his debut against them in 2015, right?
I don't know if it was in 2015, but I think that's accurate.
He's been in the league 7 years.
I forgot he came up at like 19.
Yeah, he made his debut against the Mets.
Damn.
But he's always. I'd be willing to bet he has like.
Snell's one of those guys too where they've never hit him. I remember the couple starts last year Snell had against the Mets. He was dreadful all year, but his 2 starts against the Mets, I think both times went 7 innings and both times he had over 10 strikeouts. Granted, this is a different Mets team. I mean, top to bottom, I think there's only so many guys that are on this even on the team, but this is just a better hitting team now. Even the guys that are on the team last year,
they've always hit Urias.
Really?
Urias is a 5.02 against them.
Oh, well, I guess he stinks. That's a shame, isn't it?
He just sucks against the entire National League East, actually.
That's real tragedy.
Oh, except for the Phillies. Don't worry.
Well, I guess that's one thing.
So you got 3 with them, 3 with the Angels in a day off.
Who are
Walker?
So it's Snell, and who else?
Snell, Darvish, Manaea, and the Mets go. I think Carrasco, Walker, Carrasco, Bassett.
I mean, good pitching matchups, top to bottom there.
Yeah,
again, you're lucky that you missed Manaea, Musgrove, and Gore. But
I don't think I've ever seen the Mets have a pitcher with a sub-3 ERA that I've trusted less than I trust Taijuan Walker right now.
It's fair.
But I think his stuff. It's possible his stuff is just good enough that he's gonna get loud outs, but they're not barreling it up.
Right.
We also wonder if that's happenstance or if that's
change of philosophy.
Yeah, that might just be his game now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I'll take flyouts.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's worked for Trevor Williams. It's worked for David Peterson. It's worked for Chris Bassett. We're pitch to contact.
Yeah. When you have that good of a defense, you can.
It worked for Stroman last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that dude stinks.
Yeah, he got lit up.
He's got a 6 ERA.
He got destroyed by the Cardinals.
And that's the Cardinals.
In Wrigleyville.
Yeah. You want to talk about teams that don't hit the ball hard. The Cardinals have the 2nd lowest average exit velocity in baseball. And like the 3rd lowest hard hit rate.
Doy. Oh, poor Marcus. Good vibes only. Positive vibes only.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got 3 and 3. Do you aim for is your goal 3 and 3 and 3 with the Padres, 3 with the Angels? Or are you are you more so the thought process of you're coming off a huge split after an uninspiring 0-2 start against the Dodgers, do you get a little greedy?
You're tempted to. You're definitely tempted to, coming off the high.
Perspective.
But exactly. My whole thing the entire time is through this stretch of the 22 or whoever games it is, 500. Just hold your own, right? So if you can go 3-3, you're happy. If you go 4-2,
you're ecstatic. I think realistically a 1-2 with the Padres and 2-1 with the Angels makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Taylor Ward just went on the IL.
Mm-hmm.
Trout hasn't had a hit since
27 at bats, I think.
Trout hasn't had a hit since I got Albert Pujols. Jared Walsh was still pitching for him.
Yeah.
I mean, they just called Joe Adell back up, but he's not doing anything. Rendon can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Right.
He hasn't
When he
hit
does,
since
he gets hurt.
He hasn't hit since he hit a left-handed homer for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
I think 3-3 is very realistic because
Yeah.
I think you have to like your pitching matchups in San Diego, and they hit well in that ballpark. It feels like, especially Alonso.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few ballparks that Alonso doesn't hit well.
That's true, but I feel like
But it just seems like Alonso goes out west. The weather's always nice, and the ball's flying for the guy.
he's a Florida boy who's never been out west before.
Yeah.
All right,
Just having fun playing a game.
So 3-3, and my hot take is Pete Alonso has a 3-homer game in San Diego.
I like it.
We got less than a minute on the timer. You better get this one out.
I know.
Noah Syndergaard no hitter.
Chill. Yeah, okay. Oh boy. Let's see. I want to be fun here. Drawing blanks here.
The timer's about to run out anyway. We can jump back into it.
We're good. We're good. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. You know what? Screw it. I'll go with a 3-home run game. JD Davis. How about that? I'm going JD Davis. I never do anything good for the guy, so I'm going JD Davis. 3 tank jabs.
We'll see.
Anything else?
LFGM, baby.
LFGM, baby. Let's go. All right. It's Jack Ramsey and Tony Slater. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and as always, LFGM.